nerds, welcome to your new favourite pop culture podcast. It's the post-credit show. I'm your host, Loosh, and I've got my man of the moment, big ol' Santa Claus himself, Uncle Dino. How are you, Dino?
I'm good, mate. Right in the Christmas spirit, to be completely honest.
Oh, we're into some spirits, that's for sure. I'm not sure if it's Christmas or what, but fucking hell.
Yeah, we've had a few tonight. We're just kind of like enjoying the moment, aren't we?
We are enjoying the moment. We are enjoying a really, really special moment right now because, Dino, this is season 1 finale, episode 13, our last episode for this season.
It's a difficult thing for podcasters to get to. Like, obviously the work you and I've put in, mostly you, but far out, like, how crazy is it that we're actually kind of here? Like, this is insane. And now we're talking about Christmas.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a moment that I'm pretty stoked that we got to. Some statistics or something say that apparently most podcasts don't get to 10 episodes. So we're flying past 10, we're hitting number 13, and we've already got plans up to number 20 at this point, which I think we mentioned a couple of episodes ago. So very exciting. Congratulations to us. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. I'm going to open my drink as well.
What
that
a sound.
Good. Oh,
what a
sounds good.
sound. Woo! So, now that we're here.
By the way, my friend, cheers.
Cheers, big ears.
Alrighty.
Let's do this. Oh, got that CC and dry. Anyway, they're probably the most disgusting sounds you'll ever hear on a podcast. People gulping down alcohol. We are here to celebrate Christmas. I mean, the only good thing about Christmas really is all of the amazing Christmas movies that we get to watch every single year. So I thought it might be a good opportunity for us to have a chat about some of the best and some of the absolute worst Christmas movies in modern Christmas movie history. Because looking at like the top 50 Christmas movies of all time, the first 30 of them are movies from the 60s and 70s, and you know, fuck that.
Really?
We're not here for that garbage.
No, I'm genuinely intrigued that that's a fact. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Cinema has never been better than where it is right now, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I'm sure Mr. Scorsese would probably disagree, but as we said a couple of episodes ago, fuck that guy until he makes a Marvel movie. But before we get into that, I wanted to touch on something that has been spoken about a little bit this week. Now, we don't have the pleasure of seeing this movie just yet, but coming to Netflix in a couple of days' time is the next the next big movie, apparently. The next big Snyder movie.
Oh,
Rebel Moon.
Okay, yeah, no, I've heard so much about this. And obviously, I'm sure you're aware of it too, but it was about... A lot of it was to do with like the pitch that Zack Snyder made for a Star Wars movie, and to see how it goes. Like, it's going to be fun.
I genuinely thought that it was a Star Wars movie. I'm like, wait, we've got another Star... Oh, it's not Star Wars. It looks like Star Wars. But here's the thing. So it's been out in America for about a week now. True to form, because it's almost like these absolute plebs of humanity are like the opposite of what they should be. The critics fucking hate it, and the fans are obsessing over this movie.
Look, we'll never ever align with the critics in that way to a point. Like, there's some good movies that get a good audience score and a good critic score, but I mean, there's something special about the fact that we get this movie from Zack Snyder. Something deep within his brain. And like, if you look at Zack Snyder's history, like, we're looking at Watchmen, we're looking at 300, we're looking at Man of Steel. And obviously Man of Steel has its like detractors, I guess, but when it comes to that movie for Superman fans, it showed us a different Superman, and I'm all here for it.
Absolutely. It's so funny. I was actually reading a Reddit post earlier today that was asking straight men what they thought of Henry Cavill.
I saw this. The answer was perfect.
One guy responded with, look, I'm as straight as they come, but if Henry Cavill wants to tie me down and spend the entire night talking about his PC build with me, consider me a volunteer. I'm like, I mean, he really is like the absolute perfect nerd.
He is in that way because it's like it separates him from that like society that exists above us when it comes to movie stars and all that kind of stuff. When you think of Tom Cruise, you think of like him doing all these massive movies. You think of Brad Pitt.
When I think of Tom Cruise, I think of Stewie Griffin because he's that fucking short.
Oh my god. Shots fired already, mate. We haven't even gotten 5 minutes in.
No, I'm telling you, it's the booze. I'm an absolute prick when I'm pissed. But yeah, so look, we 21st, the 21st of December, we get Rebel Moon.
Okay.
So really, really excited to see that. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about, just very briefly, is obviously we've been watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. We finally got an episode with a monster in it this week. But look, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of loving the storytelling.
I do too. I don't know what it is. Like, I haven't really thought about it enough. I'm up to date for sure, but I haven't thought about it enough to kind of like touch on why I like it so much. But the characters, the story that's driven, like it's not a monster story as much as it is about the people who started looking for the monsters.
Exactly.
And that's something with the Monster Universe movies that we don't get a lot of. Like, we get a little bit of it. We get a little bit of the families and stuff like that. But with this one, it's very much like these people kind of looking for their father, and then all the things that come around it and why he's driven to do what he does.
And look, to be honest with you, I think the monsters add so much to the series, and there's been a couple of episodes there where we've seen very minimal monsters. There was one episode there where I think we saw a very brief, like, side-angled shot of Godzilla attacking San Francisco, and that was pretty much it. But, like, just such an engaging series. But look, we're not here to talk about monsters. Well, we are here to talk about some monsters. Let's talk about the best and worst Christmas movies. Now, I do have some movies here that I've done a bit of research on. Some of them are my personal favorites. But I want to start by talking about... I want to ask you what your worst Christmas movie is. And I've got my response, and it's in line with some of the things that we've discussed in the past. And no, ladies and gentlemen, it is not The Scorpion King.
The Scorpion King as a Christmas movie would be wildly ridiculous. Maybe better CGI this time? I have no idea. But like with... Okay, so you're asking me about worst Christmas movie. Look, this is kind of a hard one for me because at the moment, all I can think about the ones that stand out. And I won't go into the Die Hard thing as you kind of warned me against last week, but I don't really have anything that stands out as the worst Christmas movie. I'm sure if I really dug deep, I could find it. But there's definitely, I've got some ones that stand out for different reasons.
Okay, well, let's go with my worst Christmas movie, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about ones that stand out. My number one most iconic pop culture moment was the first release of Star Wars. And my number one worst Christmas movie ever also goes to the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Hold the fucking phone. What Star Wars Holiday Special?
Oh, you're fired.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy.
All right, look, guys, it was great being a part of this show. Season 1 was fantastic. I know I've been fired, but thank you for listening. No, but seriously, tell me more. What's the go with this one?
1978, Star Wars, on the back of so much hype surrounding A New Hope, released a holiday special. And it was one of the most... I'm surprised that Star Wars survived the holiday special. It was that bad. And it is consistently referenced back to by people who talk about potential things that could have killed big franchises. And that Star Wars special was just absolute dog shit. You need to watch it. You need to find it. The Star Wars holiday special. Obviously because they're based in a galaxy far, far away. Just the concept of Christmas is fucking stupid.
Give me a rundown of it. Like, I'm kind of curious.
It's hard to describe because the story, there wasn't a story. It was a group of interactions with different characters throughout Star Wars and the Ewoks and stuff. It was just I can't even begin to describe it. You need to go watch it, and next year when we are concluding our season, you can come back to me and tell me exactly how bad that movie is. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's so bad that it's almost a cult classic.
What is the part of that movie that stands out as the part that makes it the worst for you?
The performance of Mark Hamill was so... You knew for a fact that he was standing there going, the fuck am I doing here? It was just so bleatingly obvious from everything he was doing. It was just, oh my god, it was just absolutely horrific. My face kind of screws up every time someone says something about, yeah, what about the Star Wars? Kind of like you when you're having a cigarette, you know, like, bleh!
Oh my god. But yeah, look, Star Wars is such a big thing, and we spent 2 episodes talking about it. Like, what is it? I mean, how did they cook that?
Honestly, the reason why they cooked it, okay, my theory is that the reason why Star Wars works so well is because in a galaxy far, far away. Now, obviously, the story of Jesus, the religious kind of fucking ideology surrounding Jesus, which is the reason why we have modern day Christmas, wouldn't exist in a galaxy far, far away.
Okay.
So there was an immediate disconnect straight away. Why is Star Wars celebrating Christmas? What the fuck? And I think it never reconciled that fact. And it was just piss poor performance after piss poor performance, and it was a bag full of vomit with a dog turd floating in it. It was that fucking bad.
Well described.
I'm gonna create a t-shirt that's got like a bag full of chunky vomit and just like a cartoon dog shit floating in it. And on the back it's going to say, his t-shirt is representing Star Wars Holiday Special. Anyway, that's... no one would buy that. What are you talking about, Dean?
Let's see how we go. I reckon I could draw a nice turd on a shirt.
It'll look like either a turd or a cloud. So tell me some of your absolute clangers before we get to the bangers.
I don't have, like I said, I don't have that many clangers for Christmas movies, but a couple stand out to me as like movies that were Christmas orientated, but not like telling the story of Christmas. And that's what I kind of like about Christmas movies, is like when they touch on the fact that like they bring in other things that's like, it's not Christmassy, but this is, we're doing this, but it is Christmas. Look, I didn't mind very recently, obviously we've talked a lot about Marvel, I didn't mind the Christmas special that came with Marvel. I thought that was pretty good.
Absolutely.
I didn't mind that at all. And plus...
It's actually very highly rated too. It's in the top modern day Christmas movies. I think it's like top 20.
I enjoyed it and I didn't expect it. But any look we get into Marvel, whether it be the old one-shorts throughout phase 1, 2 and 3, those things are kind of cute. I like them. Like they're awesome. And the Marvel one was good. It introduced Mantis as the sister of Star-Lord, which was very cool as well. We got a little bit of lore in it. But yeah, look, I've got a few, but most of mine are bangers. And I mean, they're bangers to me. I don't know how they're going to stand out to you, but they're bangers to me.
Okay, all right. I reckon that you and I are going to have a couple of similar ones. So I want to start off by saying that anything that corrupts the spirit of Christmas, I'm here for. Bad Santa was amazing.
You're an emotional fucking cripple. Your soul is dog shit. Every single fucking thing about you is ugly.
Okay. That was good.
That was such a good movie. I'm not... I don't subscribe to any particular religion, so there's no like... I don't feel like there's anything sacred there for me that needs to be protected. Now, that might not be the opinion of other people. I'm sure it's not. I know for a fact it's not the opinion of other people. But for me, I'm very much like, poke fun at everything, because like life is too serious and depressing if you can't.
Oh man, God, I agree with that.
But genuinely, Bad Santa, Billy Bob Thornton, fucking amazing.
Plus, he's such a good bad guy.
Oh,
Whether he's the good bad guy or the good bad guy.
I love him so much. He's just got such a cheeky fucking look on his face. You know, even when he's being good, he's thinking about something really dirty. So, look, I love Bad Santa. But then going to even further extreme, David Harbour as Santa in Violent Night.
You ain't driving, are you?
I steer a little, but the ranger do most of the work.
This is my 4th year as a Santa. How about you?
I started the whole damn thing.
See, I haven't seen this one,
I loved it.
but there was something about the trailer that drew me to it. Plus, David Harbour's amazing.
Yeah, he's so good.
Like,
He's
there's
so good.
Stranger Things, my God.
Yeah.
But
There's a moment in the movie, there's a moment in Violent Night where he's looking for weapons, so he finds a large candy cane and he sucks on the candy cane until it's pointed and then jabs someone in the eyeballs with it. It's fucking amazing.
that sounds more like a scary movie or a
Well,
thriller.
it's not called Happy Night, it's not called Silent Night, it's called Violent Night.
Okay. Okay, I'll pay that. That seems fair.
Yeah. Really, really good movie. Now, the other thing that I want to mention, we've previously we were talking about doing this podcast, and we said last week that we're not going to talk about things like Die Hard, because Die Hard just happens to be a movie that happens at Christmas time. It doesn't really have that much to do with Christmas.
I think a lot of Die Hard's fandom when it comes to Christmas comes from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Jake Peralta's like absolute love for it.
Agreed.
Do you think the fandom for Christmas Die Hard comes more from that than the fact that it is shot at Christmas?
Yes,
I
do.
100% believe that.
I do. I think people celebrate Die Hard because... I think they celebrate Die Hard in that way because it is very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
It is very counterculture, which I think is fantastic. And that's exactly what pop culture should be. It shouldn't just be, here is a straight line that we have to follow through the weeds of this storyline. Like, it should be counterculture. That's a big part of why it's so popular. But, that being said, Batman Returns.
Right, okay.
Happens around during Christmas and very much leans into the fact that this is Christmas time in Gotham City. You've got the Miss Gotham who's lighting the Christmas tree, or at least she's supposed to be, and then she's pushed off the roof by the Penguin after he connects it to a fucking an umbrella helicopter thing, and she falls to her death. And when she falls, and the big box with the electricity and the tree explodes and bats go flying out of it, and this whole Christmas thing, you know, like the whole idea of the story of the Penguin being left alone on Christmas by his family, and years later he's created his own family when Max Schreck goes down into the sewer and the Penguin is playing Santa, and he gives Max Schreck all of the things that Max had flushed over the years as Christmas presents to remind Max that I own you. Like, it was just such a fantastic portrayal of Christmas in a fantastical world, like a non-real world environment, that just broke through the concept that Christmas is a religious holiday. It's a holiday for everybody.
No, I agree with that. It's funny because, like, I didn't remember a lot of those parts, but as you were saying them, I kind of remembered it. And it's like, God, I'm so wired as the fact that how did the hell did they pitch that movie at Christmas time and make it so Christmassy as a Batman movie, especially after the first one?
Well, let's bear in mind who directed Batman Returns.
Is Tim Burton, wasn't it?
And what else did Tim Burton direct?
One of the best Christmas movies.
One of the best Christmas movies of all time.
All time.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Jack Skellington.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. Such a good... Like, everything about it was groundbreaking. Like, the stop motion capture, the story. Like, it was a kid's movie, but it was a really mature story that adults could connect with, and it has become so mainstream. Like, it's another one of those, and we were talking last week about people like Danny Elfman and John Williams and how their music has become so much bigger than the movie that they're in. this is exactly what Tim Burton achieved with The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is still to this day, decades after being a #1 hit film, it is still to this day featured on Christmas shirts and gifts and bags. Like every Christmas, you see like all of your pop culture shops drag out all of the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff because it just fucking sells. It's so popular.
It really is. And the moment you mentioned that as a Christmas movie, although this isn't Christmas, all I could think in my head right now is, this is Halloween, this is Halloween. That was perfect.
Have you heard Marilyn Manson's cover of This Is Halloween?
I'm gonna listen.
I am going to clip that into this episode so people can get a little listen to it for 5 seconds, and then you need to go and listen to it. It is... I think if anyone was going to remake that song, it had to be Marilyn Manson, and it had to be in that format.
I agree. That was very good.
Another Christmas movie. Now, there's a couple of top ones here that we'll talk about in a minute, but another one that I think a lot of people forget was a Christmas movie. Edward Scissorhands. Johnny Depp. Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder, who, just for the record, has not aged a fucking day since.
She's a vampire.
I don't get it.
She's a vampire.
Is she going to Keanu Reeves and in 50 years' time, she's just going to age like 75 years?
Yeah, you say that, but then I watched that other movie where he came back as Ted and Bill, and I'm like, maybe he has aged a little bit.
Oh, no. Yeah, he had the little fucking turkey neck going on, didn't he?
Yes, he
did. Like, totally awesome, dude.
That was cool.
But Edward Scissorhands was so good. So good. And it was another one of those movies around that time where it had a potentially big name future Hollywood actor. Because bearing in mind, Johnny Depp was not a big name at that point. He was starting to gain a little bit of traction. It was a big breakout film for him. But he said so little in that film. Very similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator movie. First 2 Terminator movies. He said so little in that film, but his face and the portrayal of his character just said everything that it needed to say. It was just such a beautiful movie.
I 100% agree. Like, I mean, I haven't seen that movie in so long, but just mentioning it and how good of a movie it is, what makes me want to watch it again.
And also, once again, Tim Burton.
He does Christmas well.
He does Christmas very well because he has a very twisted mind.
He really does.
And I love it.
I do too. I would like to... I mean, God, what a conversation that would be.
Ooh.
What a conversation it would be to talk to Tim Burton.
Just don't talk to him about Helen Bonham Carter.
Alright, well, I've got a couple of questions for you. Now, You've said the clangers and now the bangers. What are some movies? If someone was to say to you, what are the Christmas movies that stand out to you? What are the ones that kind of hit the nerve? What are the ones that stand out?
I'm gonna fucking hate saying this because you're gonna be getting on a rant about fucking Oscars and shit. Jingle All the Way.
Oh. Isn't that the best movie of all time?
It is a great movie. I mean, it ain't no Scorpion King, but it is a great movie. I very much enjoyed Sinbad in it. I very much enjoyed Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Also really enjoyed seeing The Giant or The Big Show.
Yeah.
In an earlier incarnation of his career. I think he played that big Santa role so wonderfully. And seeing someone throw Arnold Schwarzenegger around, my God.
Yeah.
It was a fun, campy movie. It was stupid in every way possible, but like it's just such a likable movie.
It was so different because it was like this it was a story of like a journey of kind of like, it was such a ridiculous reason to be journeying through this thing, and yet everyone bought it. Everyone was invested.
Yeah.
And that's what it was about, that movie. Plus, I'm a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. Like him or love him, hate him or not, like, he acts in a way that, like, his acting itself isn't good, but you can't take your eyes away. And that's what I get from Jingle All the Way.
Now, another one that I really did enjoy is, and only purely and simply because at the time I was on very much a Jim Carrey high, The Grinch.
Oh, I watched that in school. I'm pretty sure we had a school excursion to go watch that movie, and that holds up. That holds up so well.
It's such a good movie.
It holds up so well.
It's so funny though, like when you look at the faces that Jim Carrey makes, he'd been making that Grinch smirk in every movie he ever did, until he was finally cast as the Grinch. It's almost like it was his life ambition to play the Grinch.
There is no one quite like him in the sense that I don't think we'll ever get another actor or comedian that is that like wild and that expressive. Like his expressions sell half the story. Like he doesn't even need to speak in half of it, and his speaking is amazing.
I would argue that Robin Williams, and I would also argue that Steve Carell are on par with Jim Carrey.
In a different way, yes. I think they add something to it, but do you think they have the same confidence to be that outrageous without someone like Jim
I think
setting
Robin Williams absolutely did.
Yeah.
I think Robin Williams was a once in a generation talent. And every I absolutely love Mrs. Doubtfire. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time. And I often refer back to Mrs. Doubtfire when people bitch and moan about drag queen story hours in libraries, but they're okay to show their parents a movie where Robin Williams dresses up as a drag queen.
It was a different time, but at the same time, it was so incredible to see him play that character, and it was so believable. As like the loving, doting grandmother, like it was so believable.
I wanted to have a grandmother like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Who wouldn't?
And then I met my adopted family, and I met the person who I now call Nonna, and very much a Mrs. Doubtfire style character with the British accent and everything. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, I loved Mrs. Doubtfire. Absolutely loved everything. Like Patch was another great movie that Robin Williams was so funny and so thoughtful. Like he some of the last movies that he did were so serious. And it was really jarring watching them because, like, oh my god, this guy's got range. This guy is not just a dumb comedian who flies off every corner of every wall. This guy is an absolutely brilliant actor. There's a movie called The Last Man in Brooklyn, or something along. I can't remember the exact name of it. But it was like he finds out that he's dying, and he's kind of like wandering around Brooklyn, having all of these different encounters with people, and it's like a really serious, really solemn movie. And it was just such an incredible movie. 1 Hour Photo was another one that really got me because it was Robin Williams playing this creepy photography development. Like, you remember you used to go to the old pharmacy and you take your fucking camera roll in, you come back 12 weeks later and there's fucking photos sitting there. Well, he played the photography guy who took the photos, but he would use some of those photos to stalk families and their kids. And it was terrifying Robin Williams. It was such an incredible movie because it was so different to everything that he'd done. But like, we've gotten off track a little bit, but I will say Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Steve Carell, I put them in the same sort of category as generational talent, generational comedians with so much more range than their body of work gives them credit for.
I agree. Like, I mean, Dead Poets Society.
Oh.
We've got a Goodwill Hunting. Like,
Yeah.
like, how do you get a comedian into that role and he perform the way he does?
You know how they did it? Rubbing their ears and repeating "Goose for our bar." Right, back to Christmas. Back to Xmas.
Right.
Elf.
Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
Elf.
Will Ferrell.
Great Will Ferrell movie. He was so outrageous in that movie, and he played like that childlike character, which was
I
incredible.
loved it so much. He was so stupid in it.
Oh, yeah.
But like, he was also Ron Burgundy in it, basically. Ron Burgundy in an elf costume.
As a child.
As a child. You could imagine Ron Burgundy, like that's almost like a prequel to Anchorman. Like, this is how Ron Burgundy grew up, which explains everything he ever said to San Diego.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, fuck yourself, San Diego. Ron! Why would you say that?
Man, that movie was memes before memes were a thing.
Oh my god, it was great. But yeah, look, Elf was funny. Elf was great. Seeing that kind of portrayal of Christmas, I thought just beautiful. It was just a lovely movie.
And speaking of comedians and speaking of Christmas, we can't go past the Santa Claus.
Yeah, that was actually the next one I was going to talk about. Do you know that Disney Plus has actually got... so there's a couple of, like, sequels, Santa Claus 2 and 3 and whatnot, and now Disney Plus have actually, with the same cast, a TV series on
I
Disney
100%
Plus.
know because I've seen season 1.
I've just finished watching season 2.
It's incredible.
It's so dumb, though. But the one thing that I will say, in season 2... Eric Stonestreet, the guy who played Cameron in Modern Family, you know, the really flamboyant fat guy, plays this ancient version of Santa Claus who's trying to take over the North Pole from Tim Allen's Santa Claus, and his is just so fucking stupid. I loved it so much. Every time I saw this character that he played, it was just ridiculous. He was just ridiculous in it. You could tell he was having fun in it. Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Magnus Antis was his name in the series, and it was just dumb, but it was fantastic. And Tim Allen, like, you know, like.
We've always been there, and we've always said that we're down for dumb shit. And there's something fun about, like, seeing the actors and seeing them have fun with their characters that kind of stands out to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Notable mention, Gabriel Iglesias is also in the Santa Claus's TV series season 2.
Fluffy,
who was actually in Melbourne just 3 weeks ago at Rod Laver Arena.
And I know this because one of the guys from work actually went and saw him.
I thought you were going to say one of the guys at work offered me a ticket.
No.
Like, if you said no to that, like, we're not friends.
Dude, I've been following Fluffy for so long. Do you remember, just quickly as a sidebar, do you remember when Ray William Johnson hosted Equals 3, which was like one of the top 3 shows on YouTube? Equals 3 was like, so I'll give a quick breakdown. Equals 3 was like this top show on YouTube, and it was really well done by this guy named Ray William Johnson. Now, Ray held this show for a while, and he would talk about like internet stuff, but it was very much like a news broadcast of like internet virality and all that kind of stuff. Whenever Ray couldn't shoot the episodes as he got more popular, Gabriel Iglesias filled in as the host, and this is early in the career. And obviously we know Gabriel Iglesias played in Magic Mike and a lot of other things. And he's obviously one of the world's best comedians. Like, he's incredible.
Absolutely. Fuck Matt Rife. I'll have Gabriel Iglesias any day.
But like these guys that we know nowadays as big names, like TJ Miller, who was in Deadpool, he was a host on Equals 3.
Okay. Yeah, nice. So the Santa Claus movie, and then obviously the Santa Claus series, was absolutely... Look, it didn't receive a great deal of reviews, and I think the reason why people were a little bit about the Santa Claus's TV series is because it is a very childish series. It is a series made for children. But it was fun.
It was fun. And it was fun because it was like, it was so mishappy. Like, when I say that, I'm like, obviously I'm maybe not using the right words, but like, Santa Claus fell off the roof and died.
Yep.
And then Tim Allen found him, and it was just like comedy from that point onwards.
Yep. No, it was fantastic. I love the movies. I thought they were great. Now, couple of bangers, followed by a couple of clangers. Christmas sequels belong in hell. Home Alone 1 was fantastic. Home Alone 2 was okay. Home Alone 3 and 4, I wish I could have that time back.
Oh, I'm sure that you would appreciate them in some way if you watch them again. No. Absolute garbage, like hot garbage that you know, the kind of garbage that, like, when it goes to the tip and there's so much friction and so much trash and so much composting going around that it starts fires. Like, this garbage is so bad that is too good for it. But in saying that, what do you think of Home Alone 1?
Loved it.
It was good.
Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's actually really fascinating. I was reading up a little bit about how Home Alone 1 was made, and Macaulay Culkin, and how he was found. And then Macaulay Culkin went on to do a movie called The Good Son, which was a thriller, borderline horror at the time, where he played like this creepy psychotic kid who just had a mental break and wanted to kill his parents, but he pretended like it wasn't him, like it was another young boy. And the other young boy was played by Elijah Wood. And just a couple of days ago, apparently Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood were in a photo together, and I'm like, oh my god, they're in their 40s. And I remember watching this movie from when they were in their, like, 10.
You're carbon dating yourself, my friend.
Absolutely I am. Absolutely I am. I'm the same age as them. But like, it's just a really, really bizarre moment to see them. And it was like 2 photos of them. Here's a photo from the movie shoot from The Good Son, and here's a photo of them right now. And it's like, oh my god. Not only do they look alike, not only do they still look exactly the same, but with facial hair, but like, they look so similar in the way they've grown up, which is a little bit weird as well. But also, what's with all the Culkins popping up all over Hollywood at the moment?
I don't know. Maybe it's a resurgence. Like, I mean, do you remember when...
I don't know, man. I reckon they've cloned him.
Do you remember the Avril Lavigne thing? This is probably... Okay, so this is, like, deep into, like, conspiracy and stuff. But, like, just quickly. Avril Lavigne, there's, like, a internet conspiracy that she died, like, early on in her career, and they replaced her with a clone, and that's why the music changed so much, and there was like different things. There's like a whole Reddit fucking like history to this shit. But like, are you saying that this is kind of what's happening here, or?
Look, I wouldn't be surprised. No, I would be surprised. I'd be very surprised. We're not to that point yet.
No.
Although I do think that AI is going to get us there a lot quicker than we think.
Yeah, deepfakes are scary.
Oh yeah. Not only that though, I think AI is... Yeah, anyway. Let's not talk about AI. We can talk about Terminator movies next year. What do you reckon? Episode 1, Season 2? Terminator.
Okay, so... this is a big one for me because I do like Terminator, and I actually like some of the movies that are like panned. Like Genesis and the one with Christian Bale. I'm forgetting the name, but I genuinely liked it. I don't know, man.
Let's talk about them next year. First episode next year. We'll talk about.
I like it.
Talk Terminator, Schwartzy, all those sorts of things. But no, look, I would genuinely say, getting back to Christmas movies, I genuinely say that Home Alone is one of my top Christmas movies.
Home Alone's brilliant. It's so rewatchable. It's so relatable. Oh, I mean, what do you say? What bad do you say about it?
There's so many memes. There's so many like that. That moment where Catherine O'Hara, kind of like sits up and is like, Kevin! Watching Catherine O'Hara, oh my god, like, she kind of disappeared from Hollywood for a while there, but then she popped back up in Schitt's Creek, and holy shit, she's amazing. And have you seen Schitt's Creek?
You showed it to me.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah, no, you showed me the first episode.
I love Catherine O'Hara.
It's really funny.
She's
it's genuinely funny.
And Eugene Levy and Daniel Levy, his son, who I just think they're creative geniuses behind the series. Such a great series. But like, there are so many moments from Home Alone that stick out. You know, the wet bandits, the sticky bandits, like that whole Joe Pesci and all of those sorts of things. So Home Alone's definitely up there for me. Not just the cast, but like the story was fantastic. I did feel like Home Alone 2 was basically Home Alone 1 in New York. It was like, okay, there was no evolution of the story.
I think in retrospect, yeah, but I mean, like, people back then wanted more of the same thing.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
I definitely feel like when you had a blockbuster movie back then, it was very easy to... Because, I mean, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have like memes and stuff. So it was very easy to kind of like get into a movie and be like, oh, this is more of what we like.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I would agree with that sentiment. But probably the one that sticks out to me the most, my favourite Christmas movie, and there's been some debate recently about whether or not the contents of the movie are problematic, whether or not there are some moments in that movie that in hindsight are a little bit not so PC.
I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. Christmas is all around me, and so
but I still love Love Actually.
It spawned such a great range of like love-orientated movies. Love Actually had so many good characters. I mean, Alan Rickman. Fucking,
He was so good in it too. Oh my god, I still Alan Rickman, just incredible. Bill Nye,
Liam
Neeson.
I was just gonna say,
fucking. Like the cast list for that movie it was just incredible. You had Colin Firth and Emma Thompson, Keira Knightley, fucking Thomas Brodie Sangster, who's in the most recent series, The Artful Dodger.
I've seen the trailers for it. Looks good.
I've watched like 3 or 4 episodes of it, and it is spectacular. It's actually Artful Dodger is actually a sequel to Oliver Twist.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's based in Australia. Colonial Australia.
I genuinely like Thomas Brodie Sangster. Like, he's so good in so many movies. I think he plays a small part like Maze Runner and shit, and that was good. Like,
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I forgot about that for a second.
Yep.
He's brilliant.
But like, you can't talk about Love Actually without talking about what I think is quite possibly his greatest, most defining fucking presentation that he's ever done in his career. Hugh Grant as the Prime Minister of Great Britain. As the dirty, seedy Prime Minister of Great Britain who wants to shag his secretary.
He plays so many roles well. And one of the things I want to say, like, I want to kind of skip a beat for a second to mention this because it actually annoys me that he wasn't even nominated. The Gentleman.
Don't think I've watched that, actually.
It was a Guy Pearce movie. I think it was The Gentleman. I think it was called The Gentleman. He played a character in that movie that should have won an Oscar.
Yeah, right.
When you get a chance to watch it with Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, it is so good. His character steals the show amongst these like legendary actors.
Yeah, right. Wow. Look, I mean, with Love Actually, what I was so the reason why I think it's a Christmas movie, it's such an ensemble movie as well. Like, there are so many guest appearances, like fucking Rowan Atkinson. Rowan Atkinson is so funny. I grew up watching what I thought was 15 seasons of Mr. Bean. I only found out not too long ago that it was only like 12 episodes were ever made, which blew my brains. Billy Bob Thornton as the United States president, the seedy, creepy US president. You had Martin Freeman who popped up in it. You had, oh my God, Claudia Schiffer made a cameo in it. Like, it was just, everyone was in this movie, man. It was such a good movie. So many actors that had little cameos and little moments in this movie that eventually went on to become big Hollywood stars, and like, just, yeah, man, I loved it. I thought it was such a great movie. I thought Bill Nye's performance as the should have retired rock musician singing dirty Christmas songs, and the middle finger moment where he's licking the middle finger, and then of course, obviously, Mariah Carey's famous hit song "All I Want for Christmas Is You" makes the big grand finale of the whole thing. It just ties it all together beautifully. And to me, as far as I'm concerned, problematic concepts or not, problematic storylines or not, non-PC cultural challenges or not, I thought that Love Actually is the best Christmas movie ever made.
I'm glad that you gave me your number one. Like, that's incredible. I'm very happy that, like, Love Actually is number one for you, because there's parts of me that agree. Unfortunately, I do have a number one.
You can't go past Jingle All the Way, can you?
As much as you think it's my favourite, it's not.
Right, okay, hit me with it.
It would have to be The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, okay, look, I'll pay that.
The Nightmare Before Christmas, to me, was my favourite Christmas movie. It meant so much to me, and I remember even my sister's reactions to it when we were younger. Like, I remember watching it with them over and over again. I remember the boogeyman, I remember the kids, I remember everything about it. Like,
yeah.
I loved that movie so much, and I will never get over that. To me, number one Christmas movie. But a close second, Jingle All the Way.
Mate, that just about wraps it up for us this year. That just about wraps it up for this episode. What a season. We had some absolutely amazing bits of conversation that came through. I still living rent-free in my head is that moment where we both realized that our favorite Charles Dance movie was Last Action Hero. That to me was just a great moment. But like, I hope you enjoyed listening, to all of you out there in listener land. We certainly enjoyed making these episodes. Next year we're going to kick off probably towards the end of January. But in the meantime, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Feel free to send me money because it's my birthday in between those two. And yeah, I guess go drink some booze.
Look, it's that time of year that we should all kind of be around our families and enjoy it, and we appreciate any time that anyone's put into listening to us. Like, we enjoy it so much, and we enjoy talking about this. Like, we know very much that this is a start for such a big thing, and I enjoy talking about pop culture. I enjoy talking about Christmas movies, Star Wars, everything, Marvel, DC, all of it, and I hope you guys do too. I hope you talk to your friends about it. I hope you talked about every single thing that we chat about.
And if you're listening to this episode a little bit later down the track, thanks for joining the party. We'll see you next year. Deuces!
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Hey, Dino.
Yeah.
So, 3 men died. A philosopher, a mathematician, and an Australian idiot. So these 3 guys died, and they're all standing at the pearly gates, and they're trying to get in, and Satan and St. Peter appear before them and go, boys, before you go in. There's too many good people in the world. Heaven is at its capacity, so we're going to have to test you before we let you in. So what St. Peter's agreed to let me do is I'm going to give you a challenge. You ask me a question. If I can answer the question, I'll let you in. If I can't answer the question, you're coming to hell with me. Alrighty. So the mathematician steps forward and he says to the devil, give me the most complex, unsolvable equation ever conceived of and solve it. And the devil's like, no problem. As a stack of paperwork appears in front of the mathematician, and he looks through it all. He's like, yep. And checks out. Poof! Mathematician's gone to hell. And then the philosopher steps forward and goes, all right, I want you to tell me the entire life history of Socrates. Because there's so much we don't know about him. I want to know when he was born, where he was born, where he died. And the devil's like, easy. Massive stack of paperwork appears. The philosopher reads through it and goes, yeah, wow, that checks out. In hell. The Australian idiot steps forward and goes, all right, I need a chair with some holes in it. And the devil, confused, is like, all right, cool. There you go. Bang. Chair with holes appears. The Australian idiot sits down on the chair and farts. He turns around to the devil and goes, tell me what hole that came out of. And the devil's like, oh, that's easy. That came out of the 3rd hole from the right. The Australian idiot turns around and goes, no, dickhead, it came out of me asshole.
It took you an entire season, but you got me to laugh. Merry Christmas, guys.